One of the questions that we ask ourselves every week is, why are we here? And we are here in this room and on Zoom because we know that cancer affects everybody. It doesn't care. It doesn't care your age, if you have babies at home. It doesn't care if you're successful. It doesn't care if you have a job or don't have a job. It just affects our lives. And we don't know where to go and how to cope with it. There's a lot of support groups out there, and we know that. What makes this group different is that we are here to flood your mind and your bodies and your soul with uplifting stories, with new spiritual practices, and new ways of looking and thinking about how we can live with our cancer. And that's why we're here. And one of the things that we learned in the previous week, and I want to do a little bit of a recap, is that dealing with the emotional aspects of cancer, I think, is one of the hardest parts that we all struggle with. And we talked about fear, part 1 and part 2, as a matter of fact. And last week we had Dr. Rob Pennington, who shared his amazing life story and his wisdom about how to cope with major life traumas. And he shared with us part of his life. And he talked about being a gunshot wound victim, the victim of the IRS audit 3 or 4 times, and now he has cancer. And so we asked him to share some of his wisdom about how he got through all of the life crises, including his most recent one with pancreatic cancer. And Rob reminded us that the opposite of worry is a goal. And I love that, because his point is that worry doesn't get you anywhere. There's not a beginning and an end point. There's just a big middle. But if you have a goal, suddenly your mind has to think in terms of steps. And the step 1 and step 2, and you actually move. You move your life forward, you move your thinking forward. And I just thought that was just a real simple way to remind yourself that worry is not a goal, but a goal is a goal, and it gives you the steps to move forward. He talked about stress equals resistance to change. And I found that one of the things is so true with cancer is that we are so determined that cancer is not going to change my life. It's not going to change me. I'm going to do everything I used to do, and everything's going to be exactly the same as it always was. And the more you resist that cancer is in your life and it is going to change, the more stress you bring to yourself, to your family, to your loved ones, to your caregivers. So that we really, really do need to acknowledge that cancer is change. And the more we resist it, the more stress we create for ourselves. And the third, not the final, but just the third point that I wanted to highlight from Rob's talk was that equally important, change in a direction equals change in our perspective. And likewise, flip that around, our change in our perspective changes our directions. And that's what we're all about here, living spiritually with cancer, to flip ideas on their heads. Our lives have been turned upside down. Let's turn them right side up by talking about cancer in a very different way than we hear in most clinical settings or we hear other people talk about. One of the things we're going to do tonight, and this is kind of one of my favorite topics, is how to build a cancer support system, both traditional and beyond. And when I talk beyond, we really are going to talk beyond. And to walk us through the importance of this emotional support system is my guest. And I'm delighted to introduce David Lockett, who's a therapist with extensive experience in supporting people through ongoing trauma and life changes. And David, I'd like to ask you to fill in the blank with all these other amazing things that you do, just to give everybody a background so that when we talk, they'll have a sense of where you're coming from and understand.
Okay. My name is David Lockett. I am 74 years old. I've been in the addiction field for about 25 years now. And it's interesting how I got there in that situation because somebody saw value in me. My experience was that I lost my father and mother very early in my life. I was 25 and my father died of a heart attack in 1973, and then 31, my mother died of cancer. It was ovarian cancer. Unannounced, unpredicted. She thought that she was always very diligent about pap smears and mammograms, and so there was no reason to worry about it. And unfortunately, back in 1978, when she contracted it, it was a situation that the technology they had at that time was not good enough to really, what would I say, detect it. So the situation was that she got a clean bill of health, and then suddenly her abdomen started swelling. She had They put her in for what we thought was exploratory surgery, gallbladder, or maybe the spleen had ruptured or something of that nature. What had happened was that the cancer had metastasized to the abdominal wall. It moved up instead of down. Maybe a hysterectomy might have saved her life. I don't know, but the situation was at that time there was nothing that could be done. So they just sewed her up and said, all we can do is radiation and chemotherapy. And she fought it for like 2 years and succumbed to that on July the 4th, 1980. And so it's been a situation that was very, very just to all of a sudden lose your parents. I had to learn how to be self-reliant. And the fortunate thing, the situation was that I got through this process and ended up having an opportunity to visit with a lady who had a school that taught to become a licensed chemical dependency counselor. And so I went to see her because she was counseling my daughter. Situation was that she started asking me questions that were very pointed, but they were logical questions with, using common sense. And so when I answered the questions, what I thought was going to be about 10 minutes was about 45 minutes. And she's the one that said, have you ever thought about being a counselor? And I said, what do you have to do? I was not doing my life goal at that point, but the situation was, so we got involved in that. And because of the dysfunction in my family and the situation how I was raised, I found that a very, very poignant way to look at life from a different perspective. And that's the whole situation. We can talk about drugs and alcohol and things like this, but the goal in my life was change the way you see yourself, change your self-talk, change what you say to yourself. Everything in your world, when you do that, will change. It can't stay the same way. So my goal, as my mission statement is, when we make our transition from this earth, we leave all of our material goods behind. So the true gauge of our self-worth is to be remembered we made a difference in someone's life. So that's what I've been trying to do for the last 25 years is to help people to see themselves from a different perspective so that you can say, hey, regardless of the circumstances, I'm worth it. Regardless of the circumstances, I can change my attitude. And when I change my attitude, I can change my outcome.
We actually have a view graph, if you want to put that up, that talks exactly to that, because that's what we're all about. And that's what we've been exploring for the past 3 weeks. And today we're going to get into it more because one of the things that we talk about is that we can't change our diagnosis. God knows I would love to do that, but we can change our focus. And that's slightly different than it's a different way of saying what David's saying is that one of the ways that we can do that we're going to explore tonight is by creating a strong support system. And if you want to change your focus, feel supported. And that is one of the challenges that we have with cancer, because you just don't need support for a day or a treatment or a week. It can go on for months. It can go on for several months. It can go on for years. And that's a real challenge to create a support system that will support you beyond that immediate, acute, oh my gosh, phase. And that's what we're going to explore tonight. One of the things I would like to ask you based on your experience, David, can you tell us the emotional importance of a support system and how it can make a difference in how you view your life situation?
Yes. In the field of addiction, when we talk about alcoholism or we talk about drug addiction, the situation is that doesn't go away. Once you have the disease, once you have that problem, you can arrest it. You can get to the point where you can do it on a daily basis, but the situation is always there. So you cannot change. I can't go back to become a moderate drinker, for example. The situation is that I can't do any of it. Same way with any type of disease or otherwise, the situation is you have to come to terms with how can I live with this? Is it going to define me or is it going to help me understand what my needs are and what I can do in order to accomplish what my goal is? The key here is improve your outlook. Change the way you see yourself, change the situation. The most important in my field that people have is low self-value. Improve that situation.
If you want to put up the next view graph, because we're going to talk about that, because one of the questions we're going to ask ourselves tonight is who is helping us navigate our emotions of cancer? And these are the traditional support systems that we always talk about. If you go to social worker, healthcare workers, this is probably the view graph or the list that you're going to get. And I'm going to go through them quickly, but at the same time, I'm going to highlight they're not always what you think they are. And I think that's the importance of it, that it's when you're a social worker or a healthcare worker, it's a nice starting point, and you just want to be helpful and you want to give this out. And the family is always the place where we start. Who is your support system? It's your family. In truth, sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. And some of us come from dysfunctional families. There's also no predicting how anybody's going to react to your cancer. It's very surprising to me that people that you predict are going to be your staunchest supporters, they're going to provide food and love and daily phone calls, suddenly after the first week disappear. And it's not that they don't love you, it's that they don't know how to handle your cancer. They don't know how to be a support. And also they have to face their own fear of cancer. That by looking at you, they realize, oh, if this can happen to you, maybe this can happen to me. And I don't want to see that daily. I don't want to hear about it. And when that happens, it's painful because you do think it's all about you, but it's not. And it took me a while to realize that there are natural supports, and some people surprise you with it. There are some family members that want to be there every day, and you don't want them to be there. And the rule of thumb that I had is if you get off a phone call, or if someone visits you, and you feel mentally drained, or worse than when they came, you probably don't want them to be part of your support system. You can still send them birthday cards, Christmas cards, Hanukkah cards. They're still family, but that doesn't mean they're part of this natural support system that you so desperately need. And you don't have to let everybody in, because not everybody needs to come in. Some people just like to find out what's going on. They want to find out how you're doing, and they want to hear about all the surgeries and the stitches. Sorry, they are family. They are family. We love them, but we don't need them right now to be part of our support system. And that takes a lot of courage to even say that out loud. And I've had people, after I say it out loud, go, oh my gosh, that's right, but I didn't tell anybody. Well, I'm saying it out loud.
I agree
Because
with
it's
what you're
real.
saying, because the bottom line is, especially when you're dealing with a disease like alcoholism or drug addiction, family may be the most judgmental people that you have to deal with in your life. And so the situation is, that's why you may need to go outside of your family in order to find the type of people that are walking the same path. That's what I would say.
That brings us to friends.
Right.
And this is another surprise as part of a cancer journey, is that the friends that you start with cancer may not be the same crowd that is there at the end of your journey. For the same reasons for family, that they're not ready to deal with it. They're not ready to deal with the everydayness of your needs. And that is the problem with cancer. So many times it's just not, I'm going to stop by and visit you after work on Wednesday. No, we need more than that. And they have busy lives. Friends have busy lives. Family have busy lives. They have children. They have other obligations. They have full-time jobs. Sometimes you have a working couple with children. People's lives are full and they're busy, and they do want to help and they do mean well. But you have to realize, when you step into this journey of cancer, you're stepping into something beyond a normal friendship, into something that is quite a bit more. And once again, I think that it takes a lot of courage to ask friends, because a lot of times we see our friends as equals, and suddenly if I need help from you, we're not on an equal basis anymore. I've become a lesser in this relationship, and it changes. And sometimes you're not comfortable with that, and sometimes they're not comfortable with that. So the friendships are so important, and hold on to the ones that make you feel good, that will check on you, call you. But at the same time, be sure and understand that if some people, quote, let you down, it's okay, because they're going through their own stuff. And we have other ideas of other places you can go, so that we don't have to keep going back to the same family members and the same friends, and wear our sources out, so that we can kind of spread the wealth of our needs to a lot of different places. That makes it easier for everybody.
Absolutely. I think that people have to make their minds up about changing how they see themselves. The most important thing I would say to anybody is that all we're given life is at one day at a time. So if I wake up in the morning, I thank my God, I thank my higher power for breath in my body. And before my feet hit the floor, I choose what kind of day I'm going to have. Good day, bad day. Why would I choose a bad day? To choose a good day. You have to start with that acceptance and that belief that everything is going to work out in exactly the way it's supposed to work out. And then when you're brushing your teeth or you're combing your hair, you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, hey, you're worth it.
That's if you have hair.
That's if you have, that's true. Your wig then. I don't know
Exactly,
what you say. Okay.
exactly. You put
But
on your
you're
little
absolutely
scarf.
right. No,
Yes.
you're right. You're right. So but the situation is that you have to affirm that this is going to be a good day, because that's all we get is one day at a time. All we get is 24 hours. And the situation is we're in this one. So let's make it work for us.
If you want to put the view graph back up, because the next set of people that are the natural part of our support system are caregivers and healthcare workers. And I kind of lump them together. They're slightly different. Caregivers can be paid and unpaid, but healthcare workers are usually paid. And they are the wind beneath our wings. They are the ones that will just say, can I plump your pillow and can I make you a dinner and here's your meds and let's go take you to the doctor's office and let's go to the pharmacy and let's go to physical therapy. Oh, it's what makes it possible. It's the nitty gritty of the physical part that gets us through our therapies and our cancer. And we love you dearly. One of the things, and once again, everything is a caveat here, because I think that when the list is handed to us, we think that here's the perfect list. And if we just have the perfect family, the perfect friends, and the perfect caregivers, we're going to breeze through cancer. It is going to be so good. It's not going to be a big deal. Unfortunately, I didn't find that to be true. And that one of the things that, whether they're paid or unpaid caregiver, you have to decide if you're comfortable with them. You have to decide if you can say to them, please, could you just give me 5 minutes? I need quiet time. Or the most powerful thing that you can do as a caregiver is to say, what do you need today? Here's not the list of things that I'm supposed to do, we have to do, we're going to do. It makes me feel better if I get you to do your physical therapy, walk around the room, eat spinach, drink water. That makes the caregiver feel good. And there are people out there that truly, truly want the best for you. But sometimes we have to be so honest about ourselves and say, I just need quiet time. I just need you to hold my hand. Wow. That takes a lot of courage on your part to ask a caregiver what you need, or for a caregiver to say, I don't know what you need right now. Could you tell me? It opens up a dialogue. It's no longer a monologue of I'm doing for you. And suddenly you become a person again. It's a relationship that you have. And it's one that become meaningful. And one of the surprises that I had a friend that became my social worker. And it was just so lovely, because what she would do, she'd bring tea and scones. I couldn't eat the scones, I could drink the tea. And she just sat there with me and told me what she did that day. And it was so wonderful not to hear about needles and chemo and doctors and losing hair and side effect. It was just like she brought the real world into my living room.
What you're saying is, I didn't mean to interrupt, but what you're saying is to treat you as a normal person.
A person.
Right.
Right.
And you have a dialogue. This whole situation is
Yes.
exactly that. You take your mind off of that problem and you focus on, I'm going to enjoy the day.
So caregivers out there, we love you, but please,
Absolutely.
please, every now and then, just ask, what do you need? Just ask that question, and you
How
might
can I be of service?
right, and you might be surprised by the question, and you might even have to say a prayer. You might even be asked to hold a hand, and it's all part of it. And it's just as meaningful as all the other things that you can possibly think that you need to do, and maybe you do, and sometimes maybe you don't. Which brings us to the other part of that circle, and that's places of worship. And there's lots of different spiritual practices that we come into our cancer journey with. And there's wonderful forms of prayer. And we're going to do one tonight called affirmative prayer. And there's prayer circles, and there's amazing things. There's phone calls, there's meal trains that churches will start to say, we'll sign it up and we'll bring food to your family once a week, twice a week, however many people are in your family. And it's so nice to feel loved and taken care of. There's usually a time frame on that. It's like 4 weeks or 6 weeks. And then the meal train stops unless you ask. And you can guide the process by saying, we're good. I have a freezer full. And I've heard of people say this. Everyone initially just jumps and they want to make food and they want to show you love through food. And I so appreciate that. And you end up with a freezer full and food keeps coming for the first week or 2 or 3. And then suddenly it stops. And so I don't know if you noticed, but in the middle of that view graph is the word you. Nobody told me that. Nobody ever said to me, how do you navigate your emotions? How do you navigate your whole team? And it starts with you. And what do you need? Find the courage, find a way to say, thank you for the food. I so appreciate this. And it is such a blessing that people bring food. But right now, just hold off. I have another surgery coming up. Could you just wait in another month or 2? I'm really going to need you, but for now we're good. And just once again, you be you and you communicate with everybody that's in the circle with you, and that you're going to find that your support system is working for you and you're working for you and you're empowering yourself and you're making little decisions that feel really, really good. And people will honor and respect you by saying, oh, I hear you and I understand, but if you need something, will you call? And you say yes, and you follow through on that. You do call. You have the courage to say, I need help. But just remember, when they give you all these traditional support systems, the you is in the center. I never understood that, David. And I do now, to the point where I'm obnoxious. So I just have to
Well,
warn you about that.
it's not being selfish, just being self-full. I mean, the situation is that you have to ask for your needs to be met from that perspective. Not that you're demanding or otherwise, but the situation is, it gets you outside of that thought process of focusing on the cancer, focusing on the situation that you're having, that you're going through at that point.
It also allows you to, because there are so many needs, to not simply take from everybody. You get on overload because everybody's coming at you, and yet there's going to be needs down the road. But by pacing yourself and being articulate about what you need right now, and tell people, I appreciate it, but how about next month? Can I give you a call when I start feeling better, after my next surgery, after my last radiation? Could I get together and could we really talk about it then? Because I so appreciate you and I don't want to waste your time or your effort. And it's just acknowledging that you have bigger needs than today or the first week or the second week. It's sort of letting people know this is an ongoing thing. And even places of worship sometimes will find that they're not what you think. And a personal story is that I went to a church for a long time and I served there, and I felt an active member. And when it came to actually visiting me to see how I was doing, nobody came. And I was like, what? I didn't have chicken pox. I mean, it was like, it was cancer. And I was just shocked. And they did send someone out when I requested, and it was a temporary person who I'd never met before. And when I went in for my second surgery, he brought another patient in and introduced me because she was going to have the same surgery. And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my God is what I said, literally, because this was my church. And I remember thinking, wow, needs are not being met. There's like a disconnect here. I didn't know what to say. I mean, it was like, oh, hi, how are you? And have good surgery. I mean, what do you say? But not everyone intrinsically knows how to be a support system and a caregiver. And so it's important for you to realize that it's okay to say any and all of the above. 1 or 2 of these things need to be tweaked. They're not working for me. And one of the challenges that I'd like to ask everybody tonight is to look through your support system, and please add to anything that you want. And be honest with yourself. What is working and what is not working? The other thing that I get asked sometimes that should be on that list is, can my dog be an emotional support?
Absolutely. I think therapy dogs are an essential situation.
Or regular dogs. Yeah.
That's unrequited love. They will be there for you. The situation is, it gives you that support system that you always have to the love that you provide for them, they give right back to you.
So put your dog on your traditional support system. And I've been asked also, can my cat be a support system? The answer is no. I'm only kidding. I have several cats. I'm only kidding. I promise you, I'm only kidding. But yes, any pet, anything that gives you love can be part of your support system that makes you feel good.
That's true.
And so, yes, your dogs, your cats, your pets, your parakeet, whatever it is, that's part of your traditional system. Please feel free to add them. And they're available 24/7, especially dogs. They'll be there for you. So that's not a problem. One of the issues that I had with my life with cancer was what happens when you need support at 3 a.m.? What happens when you want to really talk to somebody and it's Christmas Eve and all your support systems are with their family, or they're sleeping, or they're just not available? They have lives. And there's a gap. And I feel that the traditional support system, except for the pets, for the most part, are on a clock to a certain degree, and that your needs are sometimes 24/7 and your support system is not. So what we're going to talk about, if you want to go to the next view graph, is some ideas that actually support you 24/7, things that I never thought about. And everything, if you want to go to the next one after this, and that everything on the view graph that I've listed are things that I've actually tried. So go ahead and challenge me and say, what is that? Because I will be delighted to tell you. And David, please pop in, because one of
the most important thing I will say is you have to take your life from this perspective and look at it as, I'm going to do the things for myself that are going to make me feel better. I'm going to try the things that are going to make me feel like I am somebody, that I'm not this person that has to be segregated or otherwise.
This needy bag of fear that's sitting there in bed.
Correct.
Going, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So everything that's listed here is available 24/7 and free of charge if you go on YouTube.
It's very true.
Amazing. And all you need is a phone, an iPad, a Wi-Fi, a laptop, anything. It can be a track phone. It can be the cheapest phone in the world. You can access, and we're going to talk about these individually, but you have access 24/7. You have ways to actually create your own support system. And meditation is one of the first ones that I always thought you had to sign up for a class. You had to sit cross-legged. You had to hold your hands in a certain way, and you had to close your eyes, and you had to be peaceful and mindful. And that's how it was. And boy, that didn't work for me. So I found that in the middle of the night, there are guided meditations on YouTube. You get to pick people that you like. I like Jay Shetty. How about you? Who do you like? It's so wonderful. There are some that have words. There are some, they have Tibetan bells. There's something about Tibetan bells. Oh my gosh. It is just, for me, the most amazing thing. And you get to explore that while everyone's sleeping. You can do that Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. You can do that for Passover. You can do it anytime you want and find out what works for you. And I just listed a few. I'm not on anyone's payroll. I do not get paid for listing Jay Shetty, who I love. I'm sorry. Think like a monk. But there are certain people that just will speak to your soul. You get to decide that. You go explore meditation for healing, meditation for sleeping, meditation for anxiety, meditation for neurotic people. They're all out there, men, women, whoever you want to, words, no words, you get to choose. And you don't have to go to a center, sit cross-legged. You can meditate on a bed. Your feet do not have to touch the ground. That's one of the things that I remember having immunotherapy with IVs, and I'm in a hospital bed. And we're supposed to put our feet solidly on the ground. I'm like, no, I can't. And we're supposed to put our hands a certain way. No, I can't. With that and with your YouTube, you can do it any way you want. And it is meditation, and it will feel good. And you will find that groove that will feel wonderful for you.
One of my mentors was Wayne Dyer, and I met him here at the church. And the situation is that Wayne has a special way to look at things. And what he says is the fact that maybe you need to talk to your cancer. Maybe you need to converse with it and say, I don't know why you're here. Is there a possibility that maybe we can move you away from the situation? Maybe you want to leave now and go someplace else. The thing that I'm saying here is it gives you the comfort and the knowledge that maybe I have a little more control than I don't think I have.
Mm-hmm.
The key here is to really explore those things that are non-traditional, those things that may help you look at it from a different perspective, because that's the goal that I have, is change the way you see yourself, and everything in your world will change. That's not an easy thing to do, but the bottom line is, what have I got to lose is what I'm trying to say. I'm moving down this road, but the key is I don't want this in my life, and therefore then maybe the possibility is that I can change the outcome.
One of the other things that I tried, because I had a lot of free time in the middle of the night, and I looked up tapping because I kept seeing all these amazing things about tapping, and I didn't understand what it was. It just looked really simple. You just hit meridian points, and you tap it, you end it with, you pick a word that you want to manifest for the day, be it peace or a negative word, whatever you want, and just say, I want to have joy today, and just say joy, 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 joy. And you do that, you do a whole ritual, repeating it to yourself. You can do guided ones on YouTube. They're wonderful, they're fabulous. You pick the emotion that you're working on. And I remember doing it and going, okay, nothing happened. Where's the joy? Where's the joy? And by the end of the day, it was like, oh my gosh, I had a joyful day. Tapping works. They've actually since have done medical studies to show that tapping does work. And the science behind it is that it opens your energy meridians so that your body is receptive to what your mind is saying to it. So you're opening up channels that are now, your body is listening to your mind in a way that it wasn't just sitting there frightened in the middle of the night. It's opening up the energy channels for the information to flow from your body to your brain and complete that circle. So strange as it sounds, there is science behind it. And I've tried it. Don't expect angels to sing when you're done, but do expect to have some surprisingly subtle changes throughout your day or whenever you try it. Wonderful, wonderful, free. Also, for those of you who don't have any Wi-Fi access, have no capability with which to hit that key to look for anything, there's something called journaling, and you just simply get pen and paper. And it's old school and it works. Write down your worries and turn, like we talked about, turn that worry into, how do I turn that into a goal? How do I turn what I think about myself with cancer into who I'm going to be? Write these things down. Journal, journal, journal. Pad, paper, that's all you need. I think most of us have access to that. And you can do it in the middle of the night and not disturb anybody. And it's cleansing. If there's bad thoughts, you can then rip it up and burn it and just say, okay, that's part of my ritual, or write down the good things. What am I moving towards? What am I building towards? What are the new goals? What are the new ideas?
So to accent that, you're getting it from here onto a piece of paper that you can manipulate from that perspective.
Cleansing
Cleanse
it
it
out of
outside
here.
of your mind
Yep.
and get it down on something else that you can either keep as a keepsake or throw it away if it's negative. But that's the
Exactly.
way to work on those negative thoughts that you have, and they will creep in at any time because of outside situations or otherwise.
And I can promise you, there's only so many times you can ask your partner, your spouse, your caregiver, oh my God, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? There's only so many times you can ask that question. They don't want to hear it anymore. I'm sorry, they're humans. They don't want to hear it anymore. It's your fear. Write that down. Am I going to be okay? And answer your own question in your journal. What a shock when you write it down and say, gosh, maybe I will be. And if I was okay, what would that look like? Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. What an idea. And so that is the beauty of this, that it's going inside instead of externally asking caregivers and everybody outside of you to validate everything that's going on, telling you're going to be okay. What can I do for you? Do this for me. No, it's turning it inside out and saying, what can I do for me? What can I do to validate what's going on? What can I do to bring forward the good stuff that I want to come out of my life? The next thing is sound healing. I've actually done this, and there's science behind it also. And I did it with this amazing human being that has Josh Ignacio, and he uses gongs, a didgeridoo, and tuning forks. And depending where your cancer is, he will then spend time blowing a didgeridoo over the affected part of your body that has cancer. And you think of a didgeridoo, you see something on a PBS special from Australia. It is a powerful instrument. The vibration and the deepness of that tone, and what it does scientifically is it changes the vibration of the cells in your body. And suddenly the cancer that I felt when I went through that is going, what's going on? Wait a minute. I just can't keep reproducing and continuing just reproducing my cancer cell. Something is disrupting me, something. And then he hits it with a gong. No, he doesn't hit you. No, no. Above you then comes the gong with that. Once again, it just breaks up this whole, your cells just get confused. Your cancer cells are getting confused. And then the tuning fork just kind of recreates that harmony in your body. And that's how it felt for me. That's a terrible scientific explanation, but that is essentially what the explanation for non-professionals is. And if nothing else, I can promise you that after sound healing, while it didn't cure my cancer, I found that I slept really well. It just sort of like changed that whole vibration in my body. And it doesn't hurt, despite what I just said, it does not hurt. And you can buy CDs. I don't find them as effective as somebody just physically being there to do this over your body. But if you don't have access to sound healing, you can just simply put a speaker or your phone really loud over whatever body part that you want to have the sound healing. And it'll have not quite the same effect as a potent, but it will certainly have an effect. If you want to try it, once again, it's free 24/7. Why not? But, midnight to 5 is a lot of time to kill. So
It's worth
think
it.
about it. Think about it. Next one is massage. And this is probably one of the few that your doctor may agree with. So all the other ones, they're going to go, what? But massage is one that it just is a wonderful way to relieve stress points and to, once again, get the energy flowing in your body. Because sometimes after surgery, a lot of times after surgery, we have energy blocks. And I remember going to someone who said, you have two parts of your body, the upper half and the lower half. And that's exactly where my surgery was. And it kind of split my body in two parts. The upper part was flowing just fine, but the part where all the surgery and all the healing was happening, it was not flowing to the rest of my body. And that massage and also acupuncture does the same thing. It gets that energy flowing that's been stopped by surgery and body parts being removed and all kinds of other treatments. And it just begins fine-tuning and balancing your body again, where it has been put in balance for good reasons. They're saving your life to do this, but it puts it out of balance. And this is a way to do it. You can massage yourself, and you can actually look that up on YouTube. There's certain stress points that you can do for yourself. It's not as much fun as having someone do it for you, but I can promise you there's parts of your feet, reflexology that you can also do and have professionals do it, or actually just push on those pressure points on your heels and on your toes that will actually do the same thing. And you can do that for yourself. And they have guided tours that you can do on YouTube so that you can find a way to relieve the stress by actually getting in tune with your own body. That's what this does. It actually helps you.
I was sort of referring confirming what you're saying is, but the situation is you have to go into the process with a positive mind. Your mind has to think, I'm doing this because it's going to make me feel better.
Or even an open mind. I didn't believe in tapping, David, but I thought, okay, what have I got to lose if I go like this? What's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen.
Open the opportunity to see how it works in that situation. So you're free to look at it. If you walk into it with it's not going to, and I say this in my classes, once you say no, or once you say I can't, you're right. So the situation is I have to believe that what I'm doing is going to be a positive impact on my life, and it's going to change the outcome of what I'm expecting.
Right. The worst thing that's going to happen for everything I mentioned so far is you're going to look stupid. That's the that's the worst outcome I can think of right now. Visualization is one that has been in classical therapy for a long time, and it is basically. It can be simply in your mind, you go to a beautiful stream and you can do guided visualizations where people will take you to mountaintops, will take you to streams that are quiet and beautiful and peaceful. And this is visualization. You can get to pick your own pictures. You can bring family pictures, pictures of your children, your grandchildren, your dogs, whatever makes you happy. And just look at them, think about them, put them in your heart. Build some goals around them, build some ideas, build a story around it so that when you go there immediately, oh, I'm fishing with my best friend and I just caught the biggest trout I've ever caught in my life. I'm visualizing that. And it just takes you out of your head into a new place. And you can do visualizations one-on-one. All of these things can be done one-on-one. You can pay privately to do it. And if you're so inclined, please do that, because whatever's going to work. But if you just want to try it, free of charge on, I say YouTube. I'm sure that there's other Instagram and LinkedIn and all those other social media programs that you can tap into and find your truth and your person and your visualization path that works for you. And some people you're going to love, and some people you're going to go, oh my gosh, what? I don't know. That's not going to work for me. And that's the beauty of this. You get to pick. You get to pick what works.
That's right.
And okay, the next one I'm going to admit is something I do, and it's called ASMR. And you may have heard of it, maybe not. And it stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. And basically, it's known as a brain massage, is the popular term for it. And what this is when the autonomous part is the part of your brain that circulates your blood, it grows your hair, it keeps your heart beating. It's all those parts of yourself that you don't consciously control. It's just part of what keeps you alive. For people that know how to deeply meditate, that have been meditation for decades, they can actually slow their heart rate down to 20 beats per second. They can get there. For a lot of us starting out with meditation or just starting out our cancer journey, we're not going to get there on our own. So what ASMR does, and it's meant to be an anxiety reliever, is that it's literally people on YouTube or other social media that are whispering into the camera, and they'll pretend to comb your hair, and they will quietly brush your teeth, and they will make cooing sounds like you would talk to your dog. They're talking to you like everything is good and oh, this is so fun. And they'll run their fingernails up and down the microphone. That actually is a brain trigger for people that will actually trigger this part of your brain that just goes, ah. I do have to warn you that a lot of people doing this are mostly women, and they're young, pretty women, and they usually wear low-cut blouses. So if you're not into that, you can simply put your earbuds in, or you can watch. You get to choose whichever one you want to do. I have several that I'm embarrassed to admit I do enjoy, because some people really do it better than others. They do it, you can do it in any language you want. There's a lady in Iceland that does it. There are people all over the world that do this. So please don't feel that you're limited by a language or a person or how they look. You can choose any look, any person that you like. And some people really have soothing, talented voices, and they have fingernails that are just gifts from God. And I have to laugh at myself, because I remember hearing about this, and they'll crinkle like candy wrappers. And I remember hearing this going, really, this is something that, yes, it really, if you're a mess and you don't know what else to do, look up ASMR and go for it. And you might be surprised what you find. Acupuncture, you cannot do 24/7, but you can do acupressure. So that's the modification on that. Have you tried any of these? And are there other ones that you can add to the list? And that's the throwdown that I have for anybody here. And I have more, but I would just like to open it up, because Reiki is another one of those amazingly beautiful therapies. And it comes from Japan. And the idea is that energy flows through our bodies, and that energy flows through the palms of our hands, and that through people who are trained, they can actually bring energy healing, not even touching you. They don't even have to touch you, just simply centering the energy and getting your energy to sync with theirs, so that they can bring the energy and the blood flow to the healing parts of your body that need it. There are professionals all over that you can do this with. And there are also people, since you can do it without touching someone, you can do it on YouTube. And there are some really amazing people that do Reiki sessions for you. And they're very healing. They just make you feel like they're in the room with you. And they will actually have fake tables set up like you're lying down. They kind of pretend like there's a body there. You pretend it's your head, and they will go up and down your body and talk to you. And they will talk about the sacredness of energy healing. And it's not a substitute. If you have somebody that can do it for you in real life, please take that opportunity to do it. It doesn't hurt, I promise you. But it's this amazing thing that you can do for yourself. I never knew any of this. And I just wish I had, because I do now. Yes, so I have places to go and things to do. So,
It's perfect.
and if nobody else has any other crazy ideas, there's more. And I just want to point out that COVID kind of put us all in this place where we're all kind of like in our own little zone. We're all, had to stay away from other people, like people on chemo. We had to be careful of everything. And so as a result, a lot of new services started up. So if you need groceries, you no longer have to go to that same family member that you can't stand, that you have to invite into the house and they have to stay for 2 hours. You can now call Instacart. You can call your local grocery store. They deliver. There's no embarrassment to it anymore. They've been doing it for 2 years with COVID. They're still doing it for people that refuse to go to grocery stores. There is DoorDash and Grubhub, so that instead of getting on a meal train, you can pick your favorite restaurant, get your family to pick what they want, have DoorDash or Grubhub deliver, Uber Eats. And I'm not on anyone's payroll. These are just names of services that are available nationwide and internationally, so that you no longer have to go, oh, please, church, could you please feed my family for the next 6 months while I have chemo or I have my surgery or my radiation. You suddenly can pick and choose. I need help. Oh, I need Grubhub. I need some Chinese food, and I know who to call. And I didn't think of this while I was going through my chemo, because it was just not something that I normally did. Everybody's doing it. It's like now you're abnormal if you go into a restaurant and you pick up your own food. So please don't ignore this. You're part of the new generation, the COVID generation, and it's all normal. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say, that with all the strange, non-traditional things I talked about, they're being normalized, if not already there, so that anything I'm suggesting, I don't think would be counterindicated by most doctors or any therapist anywhere if it calms you down, provides that help, that soothingness, that healing, that sense of joy and peace, that it's going to be okay. Whatever it is, I'm going to make it through tonight, because tomorrow I don't have chemo. Tomorrow I do have Grubhub. And it just kind of gets that focus away from the intensity and just smooths out the edges.
It's a reward that you can feel
Yeah.
human again. That's right.
Right.
I agree with what you're saying.
You can also shop on Amazon. That's another great thing
That's
to do.
true. That's true.
But that comes with consequences. So I do not, that does not come as part of the recommended thing for tonight.
I understand.
But I would just love to challenge everybody with what we're talking about. Try these things. Just try it. Embarrass yourself, please. I've done it. I've embarrassed myself. And then in the chat or in my email that we have listed, tell me who your favorites are. Yeah. What ASMR artists do you like? I would love to hear it, because I think it brings this new spark of joy and silliness to my life, but also relief that I just never thought existed out there. And it's just really a new way to live. And I hope tonight we have given you one new thought, one new thing that you can try, that you can do that you haven't tried. And that's all we want to do, is just plant that seed of, you're the center of that support system, traditional, non-traditional. You pick the people you like, the family you like, caregivers you like, you pick the artists that you like, the modalities that you like, and fill your life with all the good stuff. And if you don't feel empowered and show up differently for your doctor's appointments and show up differently for your family, I will be amazed, because it does change who you are inside. Suddenly you're you again. And maybe they didn't like you, but it's okay. You're back.
Start with a positive motivation,
Yeah.
positive attitude, positive outlook on life from that perspective, regardless of what's happening, the situation is, that's going to change the way you see yourself going forward.
Mhm.
It has to. It cannot stay the same way.
It can't.
It's that negativity that you have in that situation, that fear.
Fear.
And the bottom line is
Fear.
that we're all making a transition one day. So the situation is, let's make the best of our normalcy. Of what we
Let's
want.
have fun in the meantime.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's what I'm doing. So what we want to do, we always end our sessions with a spiritual practice. And our spiritual practice for tonight is to talk about affirmative prayer. And that's what David's been talking about. And you had a quote that you
Yes,
wanted to talk about.
This is Jesus
Affirmative
calling.
prayer is slightly different than a regular prayer. Regular prayer, you choose how you want to pray. We make no judgments. We give no guidance on it. Your prayer methods are what you want to do. Affirmative prayer is something that is praying in a different way. You're not begging, you're not pleading, you're simply saying, I see something that's going to be good. It hasn't happened, but I'm saying that it is because I see it and I affirm that there's going to be goodness happening. And that is part of affirmative prayer. And you're going to read a quote that explains it so much better than I just did. So my Doctor of Divinity is not, I don't have one.
No,
So.
it's very good. This is
So.
from Jesus Calling, and it's today's date. So I saw this and I thought it'd be good to offer this. I want you to know how safe and secure you are in my presence. That is a fact, totally independent of your feelings. You are on your way to heaven. Nothing can prevent you from reaching that destination. There will be, there you will see me face to face, and you will joy, and your joy will be off the charts by any earthly standards. Even now, you are never separated from me, though you must see me through your eyes of faith. I will walk with you till to the end of time and onward into eternity. Although my presence is a guaranteed promise, that does not necessarily change your feelings. When you forget I am with you, you may experience loneliness or fear. It is through the awareness of my presence that peace displaces negative feelings. Practice the discipline of walking consciously with me through each day.
And so it is. I love that word, and you are safe. Because I think one of the things that cancer and any trauma that anybody has gone through, it steals your safety. It steals your surety. It steals that sense of knowingness and the idea that you are safe. And what we're going to close tonight with is an amazing, amazing affirmative prayer that has been put to music by our own Michael Gotts. And he has written the music, written the word, sings, plays, and takes us to a brand new place. This is his new CD, Be Revealed. And what we're going to play tonight is Help Me to Believe. It's only a 2-minute, beautiful song, but it really is a prayer. And I keep listening to this because I just can't get enough. My soul just wants to absorb this. And I do want to say that for those of you that react to this the same way, look up Unity of Houston bookstore and Michael Gotts' new CD with 10 absolutely beautiful songs that are affirmative prayers are going to be available for you. But in the meantime, we are going to play Help Me to Believe, Michael Gott. And I'm going to ask the people that are here, David, if you wouldn't mind, to close our eyes, and if we could even just form some type of circle together.
Help me to believe I am whole. Help me to believe all is well. Help me to believe I am more than I can see. Help me to believe I am whole. Help me to believe all is well. Help me to believe I am more than I can see. You are my life. You are my light. You are the love that moves in me. Help me to see. Help me to be the me that I know you know I can be. Help me to believe. All is well. Help me to believe I am more than
Deep breath. And that, my dear souls out there and here, is affirmative prayer in its most beautiful, amazing form. Michael, God, thank you for the beauty of your soul that shares this with us. Thank you for helping us to believe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste to everyone.